Good to see you. As always, I don't think Donald Trump has any power over Merrick Garland. But who exactly should he order Pam Bondi to answer questions from other than you and me?
The press. I mean, just hold a press conference and invite the former Attorney General Garland. If he doesn't come, put an empty chair there with his picture on it. Because Garland had the information that the Trump people have for 4 years. This is more of a mystery than it is a crisis. I disagree with the word crisis. I don't think it's a crisis for the country. It might be a political detriment to the Republican Party and Donald Trump, but it's not a crisis for the country.
No, it's definitely not a crisis for the country, but it is lack of transparency, breaking of a promise even. But no, not a crisis.
There's no evidence that there's any cover-up of a pedophile ring or any of that. And without
Three administrations with the exact same information readily available, more than likely both of them with some pretty high-powered friends. If there is something there, they don't want it to be exposed.
Such evidence, it just becomes a curiosity. But it is a dangerous situation because Americans are starting to lose credibility with the Justice Department. And many millions of Americans believe fix is always in for the rich and powerful. It's always in. And they were hoping that President Trump would blast that. And now the president he's not doing anything actively. But certainly he could order Pam Bondi to have a press conference and in general terms, tell the folks what the Justice Department knows, what they found out. Now, my reporting says it is not Pam Bondi who's making any decisions at all. It is the Assistant Attorney General, Todd Blanche. Do you know that name?
Sure.
Todd Blanche?
Yeah.
So he was Trump's lawyer
right
in the New York City stuff. And Trump really trusts him. And he has far more access to Donald Trump than Ms. Bondi does. And from what I'm being told, I believe it's accurate, Blanche has basically said, look, if we give out too much specific information, we're opening a lot of doors here that our opponents are going to run with and make things up and take out of context, which is absolutely true. But to guard your flank, you have to respect your supporters. And your supporters, most of them want a pretty good idea of what the Justice Department knows. Does that make sense to you?
Hold on. How does what he just said not confirm that there's two tiers of the justice system? Because you have the rich and powerful, as he just put it anyway. The Clintons, the Obamas, the Kennedys, the Bushes, the Bidens, the Trumps. So I'm just wondering, when Bill O'Reilly mentioned something like this, what exactly does Bill O'Reilly think that if a name were to be brought forward of someone that is suspected of doing something, does he think that the mob is going to grab their torch and pitchforks and then go grab this person out of their mansion and string them up? And that's going to be the justice that they're going to receive? No one in their right mind believes that Jeffrey Epstein did all of these heinous acts on his own. And it wasn't just him and Ghislaine Maxwell. There are tons of people out there that have had a lunch with Epstein, been photographed with Epstein, showed up at his mansion, showed up on his island, were on his flight logs.
What?
Those people haven't been strung up.
Most of them want a pretty good idea of what the Justice Department knows. Does that make sense to you?
It does. I don't believe it because the reporting a couple of days ago, well, a few things. One, I didn't say it was a crisis for the country. I said it was a political crisis for Donald Trump. But number two, I think what you're saying is a little different than what you said last week, because last week you were saying the reason that this isn't being released is because Trump, who is the president, he has absolute authority here, was worried that by releasing all of the names, the client list that Pam Bondi said she had and now somehow says doesn't exist, that it would be guilt by association, right? If you were associated with Epstein, everyone then was going to have to prove they were not a pedophile. That, to me, though, is very different than what you just said about Todd Blanche, number one. But number two, there's no journalist in the world that should accept that. So you're saying there's Trump friends. You're saying there's Trump friends.
I use the word general, okay, because I assume that people watching last week on this program remember what I said, and I wrote it on BillO'Reilly.com that you cannot give out specific names because those people would be damned. The media would run wild with it, not put it into context. You can't ruin lives like that. I didn't think I had to restate that.
So then why did Pam Bondi say she was going to release it?
Hold on, before you even get to that question, if there's evidence to wrongdoing, you could release a name. Because from what it looks like, hypothetically, if there's 100 people that are implicated in, this action, and you released one name, that one person who might be familiar with the others might not want to go down with the ship on their own, so they might start naming names. Because right now what people are thinking is, they're all huddled up together saying, all of us are taking a vow of silence. No one says anything. No one gets in any trouble. Trump, you do your part, and we'll take care of the rest. And when it was the other administration prior, they might have even said, hey, Biden, you do your part, and we'll take care of the rest. Just keep quiet. This doesn't go into the public eye. This doesn't get released. No information is spilled. Not saying that this is what's happening. It's just, this is kind of the perception it's giving off.
We're supposed to help our people.
That they're very rich and powerful. They're on a lips very sealed mode.
I didn't think I had to restate that.
So then why did Pam Bondi say she was going to release it?
Fair question.
Why did Trump run on releasing everything?
I have no idea. That is the mystery. Why did Pam Bondi say, I have a list on my desk and I'm looking it over and we're going to release it? I don't know.
I have to pause again because she wasn't the only one. So Alina Habba said in an interview with Piers Morgan and Benny Johnson that prosecutions are coming now. Alina Habba's position right now, she's the personal counselor to the president. She's been working with Trump for a very long time now. So she goes on the Benny Johnson show. She says in all actuality, yes, prosecutions are coming. Why? Because the American people are clamoring for it. What people are really clamoring to know is, do we really exist in a fair and unbiased justice system?
I wonder.
Or is this really just based on the amount of money and power that you have and the kind of names that you have in your phone that you can just call up and readily have something dismissed? Is that the type of system you live in? Because if that's the case, then yeah, nothing's getting found then.
I just want to say, I understand and hear the American people's, ask. And sometimes they mistakenly put it on me, and that's fine. I'm part of the administration. But I will say that I personally have checked in. They are going through it. You have to be patient, because when you are wanting to prosecute and actually do something with the information that you have to make sure that you save the integrity of the investigation so that we can bring these people to justice, so that we can hold grand juries, so that we can do certain things. You have to be careful. The value for the American people to know immediately would undercut, we have to do it. We have to expose it. We're going to be transparent 100%. But we also have to make sure we're not putting any children in danger, putting any minors that don't want and do not deserve to be publicly identified in danger, and making sure that we put forth the information that would still assist us in getting these individuals to justice. It's such a convoluted thing, but I will tell you, transparency is 100% coming. We did get a ton of documents. Pam's letter, I think, was directed towards the SDNY, that we now know the individual in charge there had directives to go in the FBI and said, be the resistance, do not turn over the documents. We have no tolerance for that. But I would just say to the American people, yes, they got the documents. Cash instructed those individuals that you must cooperate. One resigned, who was leading the charge in not cooperating. And now we have them, and we have to go through them. There is a very large amount of documents, I've been told. They are going through them. And I also, frankly, believe in transparency. We have to give the American people transparency. And we have been, frankly. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to wait a little bit to go through the documents. We are not machines. But I know that they are actively working on it.
Telling people you have to wait would have been a fine answer. Everyone would have accepted that because they know eventually justice is coming. It might take a while, and understandably so, because you want to make sure that you cross all your T's and dot all your I's. And of course, you want to make sure no victims' names are named. Don't name a single victim. But what was all this talk about prosecutions are coming? She said tantamount to the exact same thing on the Piers Morgan show.
Jeffrey Epstein files, we're told, are to be imminently unleashed. And already we saw the Attorney General Pam Bondi say that the scale of what happened is far worse than anyone realized. Well over 200, maybe 250 victims, and that we're going to get information either later today or tomorrow from these files. What can you tell me about that?
I believe it will be today. I was just I saw Pam and Cash in the White House just before coming on your show. And I can tell you that I haven't been privy to it yet, but I know it is coming out. They will be taking portions of it. We have to be patient. And I said this last night at a dinner with some media, and I said, I think America needs to remember one thing. We are going to be promises made, promises kept. But when you're dealing with victims, and by the way, this is a perfect example of a case that was vetted, that went through trial, that had testimony, and was prosecuted the right way. I don't preemptively attack. That's just not the way I operate. But in this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway, we don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
And we know that only one person so far has actually gone to prison over that whole scandal. It was Ghislaine Maxwell, the former lover of Jeffrey Epstein. No man so far has actually been put in prison as a result of what happened. Do you think by releasing information from these files, we are likely to see criminal actions being taken?
Absolutely.
Really?
I think it would be negligent for us not to. You have to hold individuals who are indeed rapists accountable. We have to have them tried, in my opinion. And I do believe in that. You know, nobody should be just dismissed. You have to have your time in court and your case will be heard. But to hide lists, to protect political friends, all of that, we don't have time for that.
So admittedly, that last clip was a little bit lengthy, but you heard what she said.
Bondi say, I have a list on my desk and I'm looking it over and we're going to release it. I don't know.
Would you
but
have
I know
accepted?
Someone in the administration doesn't want that to happen.
Right.
Now, the president told me face to face that he has to be careful for the reasons that we just stated.
Would you have accepted that
if you
if
had
any
lunch with Epstein?
Yeah, would you have accepted
don't
that
want
explanation
your life
from?
ruined.
Would you accept that explanation from Obama or from Biden or from Bill Clinton? Saying,
Doesn't matter.
Hey, no.
Of course I would.
Oh, come on.
What? You're out of your mind. Of course I'd accept it. Because it makes perfect sense. You don't destroy people's lives unless they're under federal investigation.
Right, so if we trust, but that's not what the promise was during the campaign. The promise was to release everything. And furthermore, if people trust the president, as I think you say, hold on, let me ask the question.
Donald Trump didn't say he was going to release everything about the Epstein files. You're going to have to back that up. You got something on that? Let me hear the soundbite.
I thought it was
he didn't
given
say
how many.
that.
He said it at every single rally. But let me just say, okay, just hear me out.
He did not say that specifically about the Epstein case.
Okay. Let me understand this, though. If Trump is going to release anything, why couldn't Pam Bondi say, if people are going to trust Donald Trump, and they should trust the government, to say, look,
I don't know.
Here are the Epstein files. Hold on. Here are the Epstein files. And yes, there's a lot of names. And by the way, we've investigated all of them, and we have cleared all of them. None of them have engaged in wrongdoing. Somehow, something about this, and I think what you said in the first part is actually what makes the most sense. This is a mystery. There's all sorts of explanations flying around and justifications, but there aren't any real answers.
Look, Leland, there's a reason why all criminal investigations are redacted when there is no prosecution, okay? But you can release names of somebody under investigation. That is absolutely legitimate to do. But in this case, as I pointed out 50,000 times, and as you well know, the press is not going to apply any context, nor are the gutter snipes on social media.
Yeah, the crazy thing about what he just said right there is He just mentioned that if someone is actually under investigation, you could release the name. The problem is they're not investigating anyone. The way they're seeing it is there's nothing to see here. Show's over. Go home.
The press is not going to apply any context, nor are the gutter snipes on social media. If your name is in the Epstein file or papers, you're going to be attacked.
The press applies context as evidence is released. If your name is in the Epstein files and the only thing that you are guilty of was having dinner with the man, then no one is going to say anything. If there's evidence that you actually did some wrongdoing, such as video, pictures, those things would all come out in court. The issue being had is you're saying that, no, Epstein did this on his own. That there's nothing else, there's no one else that was involved, there's no one else that ever visited, there's no one else that was in the flight logs, there's no one else that harmed any of the victims there. It was all Epstein and Ghislaine.
That is what's going to happen. And Trump knows that. So I concur with him 100% that you don't throw names out there unless there's some kind of guilt or investigation attached to them.
Okay.
But it is a mystery, and I think not a smart thing, to create the perception that the Trump administration is hiding something. And that is the perception that is out there now. Tomorrow, if I were president, I would say to Ms. Bondi, you get Merrick Garland, we'll call him up if we can find out where he is, and you two will answer general questions, which you and I are going to put names on.
And you and I know Garland's not going to show up. But the people who are showing up,
embarrass him.
The people who are showing up are Democrats on this issue. We'll play Hakeem Jeffries. Take a listen.
The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding?
All right, then Van Hollen, appropriations amendment, the provision calls for
wait, before you get to anybody else, come back to me. I want to address the minority leader in the House. This is how disingenuous that comment was, and this is what infuriates me about these people. Jeffries knew the Biden administration had exactly the same thing the Trump administration has on Epstein.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Because Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Not one time.
No, he wasn't. To my knowledge, he was convicted in 2019, passed away in 2019. Yeah, right here. None of what he just said was true. July 2019, Epstein is arrested on federal sex trafficking charges after federal prosecutors in New York concluded they weren't bound by the earlier plea deal. Days after the arrest, Acosta resigned as labor secretary amid public outrage over his role in the initial investigation. August 10th, 2019, guards find Epstein dead in his cell at a federal jail in New York City. Investigators concluded he died by... I'm going to the moon! You hear that? We all know who was president in 2019, but to be fair, Bill does actually have a point because the Biden administration did hold on to this information and they didn't release anything. So this could mean one of two things. Either politically, this could mean that it's more expedient for each president to just hold this information to themselves and not really out their friends, you know, the rich and powerful friends. Or maybe all of this is on the up and up and all the conspiracies that you were fed a long time ago, it was all actually hogwash. All the people that fed you lie after lie after lie. All the people that fed you lie after lie after lie of all the cover-ups going on in the government, that none of it was true. And in all actuality, there are some real grifters out there. Because Dan Bongino, for a very long time, made a lot of money and almost seemed like he was willing to bet it all that this information that we're speaking of now was all true. That there is a real Epstein files, the client list is all true, and it's just the rich and powerful that are trying to hide themselves. Cash said the same thing, Pam Bondi said the same thing, every person in MAGA said the same thing, but now when you become the administration, you actually start to look like the very swamp that you once rebuked. Funny how that works, isn't it?
The Biden administration had exactly the same thing the Trump administration has on Epstein. Exactly.
Right.
Because Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration.
False.
Not one time did Hakeem Jeffries call for any exposition of what the Biden Justice Department knew. Not once. So this guy's a top phony, okay? He's a political player. He doesn't care about the truth. He doesn't care about...
I'll agree with that.
Bill,
this is what
hold on.
he does.
Hold on, Bill, hold on. You said Epstein was convicted during the Biden administration. Epstein committed suicide during the Trump administration.
Yeah, so?
How is he convicted? How do you convict a guy who's dead?
Epstein was convicted in I believe, okay, under Merrick Garland's Justice Department. That could be. Am I wrong on that?
Yes, dead wrong.
I don't think so.
No, you're wrong.
And then he was incarcerated, and then he committed suicide. Okay. The suicide thing is bull. I know the New York coroner's office very, very well. There's no way those people in there put a phony report about a suicide. No way. Impossible. And it's not hard to ascertain whether you committed
Bill,
suicide or
I think this is
murdered
important.
you.
Bill, I think this is important. He was arrested in 2019, and he committed suicide in 2019. He died August 10th of 2019. So the Biden administration was not involved in a conviction or a trial of him. They were in of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay. And that's a good point of clarification. But he was arrested and indicted under Merrick Garland.
No, under Trump.
Who had all
under
of the
Trump.
information.
Epstein was arrested, indicted, and committed suicide under Trump. In 2019, Trump was president. Merrick Garland was not the attorney general.
Silence.
Okay. I stand corrected. So 19, that came in the first Trump administration, correct?
Yeah, and Bill Barr was the attorney general. Bill Barr was the guy who ordered the investigation into the suspected suicide.
Right. But then for 4 years, did you hear Hakeem Jeffries say, I want to know all the things that happened?
No, but I heard, well, hold on, but I heard, maybe we're onto something here, because I heard Donald Trump say that. And now Donald Trump, that he's in power, is the guy saying, we don't want to know anything.
No, basically what we're saying is we want an investigation. I want a full investigation. And that's what I absolutely am demanding. That's what our Attorney General, our great Attorney General, is doing. He's doing a full investigation.
Over the weekend, President Trump tweeted allegations that Bill and Hillary Clinton were somehow involved in Epstein's suicide.
I have no idea. I know he was on his plane 27 times, and he said he was on the plane 4 times. But when they checked the plane log, Bill Clinton, who is a very good friend of Epstein, he was on the plane about 27 or 28 times. Did Bill Clinton go to the island? Because Epstein had an island. That was not a good place, as I understand it, and I was never there. So you have to ask, did Bill Clinton go to the island?
But Jeffries didn't say it for 4 years. Right?
Okay.
They call it a swamp for a reason.
And now Trump is saying, let's move on, and Jeffries is saying we want transparency.
Now Trump is now Hakeem suddenly has an epiphany that he wants to know all about it, when his party controlled the White House and the Justice Department, but he didn't seem to want to know about it then. Doesn't that strike you as a little bit disingenuous?
Yeah, I feel like all politicians are disingenuous. That's why I think you and I are good at what we do.
I don't dismiss it that easily.
Okay.
Now, let's get back to Trump.
I want to get to Trump on immigration. We go finish right now on Epstein.
All right, I'll do the immigration too. There's no rush tonight. We'll get it to everything. Donald Trump's hurting himself now. And I just wonder if there's anybody in his administration that is telling him that. Because most of the people don't want to get involved with this at all. So I don't know if he's getting, look, Mr. President, this is starting to hurt you. It's hurting you with your base. The press is looking for stuff to get you on, and it's diverting away from very important stories like Putin, Russia, like China, all right, like immigration, and it's becoming a tabloid wave that we have to stop. I wonder if there's anybody saying that to him. There should be.
Well, that's the point, right, of surrounding yourself with people who are willing to tell you the truth. And I think what you're saying is that unlike Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0, there's not those people, because they're seen as disloyal.
I don't know.
No, you very much know. There are a bunch of people that are willing to just say yes to him on every single thing that he says he wants to have done or he wants to do. I'm fairly convinced that if there is actually something there, they're not releasing a thing. What they're going to try to do is just wait you out, and hopefully, eventually, you will move on to the next big subject.
All right, on the tarmac with Lutnick,
Trump's chief economic advisor, you just saw Trump double down like he did last week and say nobody's been looking into Epstein. Why would anybody want to know about that? I don't know. Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and Steve Jobs' wife and all these other world leaders going to this island where there's underage kids and all the Mossad connections and the Israeli prime minister secretly getting caught over and over again going to his New York lair and Zorro Ranch and all the rest of it. Why would anybody want to know about that? You made it a major campaign issue, and your surrogates did, to bring all this out. That's why. And so then you say it doesn't exist last week, and you're the person behind it telling people to stop covering it. Then your surrogates all get in trouble, try to fall on their swords. Then you come out yesterday through Laura Trump and then yourself again at a press conference and say, yeah, go ahead and release anything Pam Bondi's got. And then now you say, I don't know why anybody want to look into this. Then on top of that, we now know that the video, the supposed proof that he committed suicide that's around a corner, can't even see his cell bay, has been heavily edited, not just a missing minute, but almost 3 minutes and a bunch of edit points with the metadata. Independent groups have looked at it. We've looked at it. It's true. And I'm just like, my God, Trump, you're not stupid. You couldn't come up with a plan better to discredit yourself and to get the Democrats to have congressional hearings and do all this stuff. Yes, we know the Democrats have control of the file. Yes, we know they obviously cut themselves out of it. That's all true. But your attempt to then tell people nothing to see here, move on, is called the mother of all Streisand effects. And Trump, I know you know what the Streisand effect is.
Let me just make sure I got this straight. First, there wasn't Epstein files. Bill Clinton apparently was on it. Then we actually have the files. Prosecutions are coming. We just want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. Afterwards, you get told the files don't exist. But now you're getting told that the files actually do exist. It's just getting written by Obama and Biden. That this is, in all actuality, a hoax that's concocted by the evil left. Because that makes a lot of sense. Anyways, just want to go over this clip. Whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and I will see you again on the next one. Be easy, y'all.